So a little bit of an introduction to start with. Thank you for joining this morning. I'm going to be talking around how to grow your business with social media and a bit about Peaky Digital. So we are a digital marketing agency based in Cornwall. We are being accredited, a Google partner, and also Facebook certified as well. And we work with some really cool clients in Cornwall that we're really proud of. So first thing we're going to talk around is when we're talking to a lot of our clients, a lot of people will say, my customers don't use social media. So a lot of businesses, if you're maybe B2B or of an older age bracket, you don't necessarily think that social media is right for your business. And you know what, maybe not every channel is necessarily appropriate. And you don't need to be on every single channel. You just need to be where your customers are. So we're going to have a little bit of a look at some of the statistics. So a lot of people are on their phones when they go to bed, when they wake up. It's the first thing they do, whether it's because they are checking the news, checking their social media platforms. And 87% of the people are using more than one device at a time. So you might be sat here watching this webinar on your computer or your laptop, and you also might be on your mobile phone having a scroll through maybe your emails or social media. And on average, people are spending 5 hours on social media every single day, which is huge. And they're checking their phones about 150 times a day. So whether that's, again, just checking on in their emails, picking up the phone and calling someone, sitting on WhatsApp, it's a platform which people are constantly on at present. So then we've got Facebook. So Facebook is really good for attracting a younger audience. So 25 to 34 is their biggest age group. They've got over 40 million active users in the UK. So again, that's a huge platform that your business could really be utilising. And there are over 60 million active business pages on Facebook globally. So it's a huge marketplace which you can definitely be attracting. And looking at the male and female divide, there actually isn't that much of a difference in the split. Then we've got YouTube. So YouTube is the UK's second most popular social media channel with almost as many users as Facebook. Again, this is a platform which maybe people don't necessarily utilise, whether it's because you've not got video content. Obviously, making the video content is sometimes expensive and out of people's budgets, but it's definitely something which should be considered more. People are using it for researching products and services. So 90% of people actually say that they discover new brands or products on YouTube. So definitely something to be thinking of within your marketing mix. Then you've got Instagram. So Instagram is really where we see the biggest split of people saying that they don't want to be using this for business. But 80% of users actually follow a business or a brand on Instagram. So it's very much inspiration-led. So if you're a business who is doing anything arts and crafts, if you're shopping and selling online, then it's definitely a platform that you need to be on. So this is also massively growing. So Instagram has 24 million users in the UK, so about 42% of the population. And looking at kind of the age breakdown, it's not necessarily what you think. So I think a lot of people naturally think it's a much younger demographic. But when you're looking at kind of 18 to 24 is 24% of the audience, and that's it. So it's definitely something which you should be focusing on. Then you've got Twitter. So Twitter has over 13 million users, so about 24% of the population. Advertising reach has actually declined on this platform, and it's got a huge male demographic and also a younger demographic. So again, depending on what your business is, would depend on whether you actually do sit on Twitter or not. LinkedIn is huge for anything B2B, and they claim that 80% of B2B leads across social media platforms are driven through their platform. So they've got over 25 million people. So 75% of the working population have a LinkedIn profile. So again, they've got a whole host of marketing platforms on there, whether it's email campaigns or whether it's pushing out advertising throughout their newsfeed. But that's definitely, again, another thing to be considering. So how should you be engaging your audience on social media? At the moment, it's really hard to break through the noise. So it's a really cluttered landscape. And that, combined with people's attention span dropping, means that you need to be making more memorable and more clever content, and to be grabbing people's attention as they're going through the feed. So rather than just necessarily using really generic stock images, actually creating some content which maybe has humour behind it, and something which will actually really catch people's attention. So what's changing? So we can see that we've got Facebook Live. That's something which is becoming more important. So again, Facebook Live is something which is really great for business to utilise. Every time you go on Facebook Live, everyone in your audience will be getting a notification to say that you're going live on Facebook. So if you have any how-to tutorials, they're really good to be utilising that for. And again, not very applicable for now, but if you are at an event, for example, then again, that's a really great platform to be leveraging. Then you've got Instagram stories. So Instagram stories are really great for trying to boost engagement. You can utilise polls. So if you've got any Q&As that you're wanting to do, or if you've got a poll around any research you're trying to look into, then using those are better. So that actually is then driving engagement rather than people just flicking through your content. So social media channels are trying to make it more about connecting and less about consuming. So not necessarily using social media just to push sales messages in front of your platform, but actually thinking about their algorithms. So when you're thinking about it, think about, okay, well, naturally only 2% of your audience on Facebook are going to actually see any of your content. And that's because Facebook are hugely monetizing their platform. So they're really trying to get businesses to push marketing spend behind their campaigns. And that's fine if people have that. But if not, you might need to be looking at other platforms like Instagram, or looking at kind of different ways to promote your content. Maybe that's through competitions where you're actually getting your customers to share your content, like and comment, and essentially just encouraging that conversation, because Facebook wants to see the conversation. They don't just want to see you pushing sales message after sales message with 1 or 2 likes on it. So obviously at the moment, social media is a little bit different as we are in COVID-19. So one thing that I would say is, whatever you do, don't pause your social media activity. Making sure that you're still building upon your community is really, really important. And obviously there's a lot of negative press at the moment, so trying to spread some positivity and actually add some value as well. If you create lots of content and you normally push it out throughout scheduling tools, maybe rethink how you're doing that, because you don't want to be using scheduling tools of content that you've thought about 2 months before, because it might not necessarily be applicable now. Normally, we would be saying to use scheduling tools across all platforms apart from Instagram. Instagram doesn't like scheduling tools, so we'll always try and post our Instagram posts manually. And also remember that work hours have changed. So people aren't necessarily working 9 till 5 at the moment. So trying to kind of change your schedule around a little bit to see when the engagement is working best now. Try and research trending topics. So things that may have been relevant 2 months ago may not be now. So we were looking the other day at keywords like dog food subscription, which in the last month has kind of increased by about 6 times. So again, things which people are actually looking for now are completely different to what they might have been looking at back in January. And kind of move away from clicks and conversions and try and drive more conversation. So trying to build conversation at this time, obviously with the social distancing measures in place, everyone has more time on their hands and they're all looking for educational content. So try and use that when you're thinking about your social media. So another question we're always asked is, what goals should people be tracking? And I guess the answer to this is it all depends on what your overall marketing objective is. So whether you're looking for traffic, follower growth, engagement, or whether you're actually looking to sell, again, your social media is going to be a more passive audience. So you've got your search networks, so your PPC and your SEO, which is your more active following, who are going to be actively searching for your product or service, whereas your social media is essentially just trying to reach the right person at the right time. So depending on what your goal is will depend on what you're tracking, but things like your impressions and your share of voice are really important, whether you're actually getting follower growth. So are your likes going up on your page? Are you actually getting shares and comments and brand mentions? If you're not getting any engagement on your post, then that's something that you really need to be rethinking. And are people actually visiting the website and clicking through to your links of your content? And essentially whether they are making that final purchase, whether that's a contact form that they're submitting, making a purchase online, or even signing up to your newsletter. Make sure that you've got your conversion tracking set up. So linking it all into your analytics so you can actually see how people are responding to your content, how they're engaging, how long they're spending on the site, and essentially what they're doing. So is it your social media that's actually driving your traffic? Without having all of that set up, it's really hard to know. So when thinking about best practice, so first of all, you should be including tags and mentions where possible. So really try and utilize your network fully. Include a link to your newsletter. To your website. So whether that is a link in our bio for Instagram, or whether it's actually providing the link on Facebook or Twitter, for example. So one thing for Instagram is that you could use something like Linktree, where you can not just have one link, it will allow you to have lots of different links. So if you've got an offer, if you want to push to the blog, a particular service, they can all sit under in your bio so that people can navigate really easily straight through to your site. And make sure you're utilizing engaging call to action. So if you're a shop, it should be on order online. Maybe it's book now, discover more, start your journey. People need to know what it is that you actually want them to do with the content. And your post frequency should be different for each channel. So adapt your strategy accordingly and don't necessarily just push out the same message on all your platforms, because again, you should be posting different amounts of times for each of your channels. How many hashtags should you be using? Again, another question that's always asked for us. So looking at best practice guides, Facebook say between 3 and 4, LinkedIn say 5, Instagram 10 to 30, and Twitter only 2. So again, when you're thinking about your content, and if you are using scheduling tools, then make sure that you're adjusting the amount of hashtags you're pushing out for each of your channels. And there's some really cool tools that you can be using to actually have a look at what hashtags you should be using with your content. So what hashtags are getting engagement? What are people actually searching for? So there's tools like Hashtagify, Later, Talkwater. They all have good trend information which you can be using. So definitely have a look at those as well. So what are the best times to post? So all of the platforms have different times. And again, every industry is different. So making sure that you're trialing and testing of your own brand. But what was working before COVID-19 is actually completely different now. So this data is pulled from Sprout Social, who have done a massive research piece on this. And you can see that times of posting are actually really different, but you'll see that it's fairly consistent across the board, that it tends to be within the working hours, kind of 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. Another thing that people struggle with is what content they should post. So when they're thinking of their scheduling, they're thinking, okay, well, let's just push the product that I actually want to sell. Whereas social media is more about trying to think about the overall picture. So whether that's awards that you've won, what your customers are actually saying about your product or service, thinking about the team and the company culture. So people actually want to know the face behind the brand. And we're finding on analytics on websites that team pages are one of the most viewed pages on a website. Whether you've got competitions, events, any corporate responsibility, and core calendar dates are all things that you should be pushing alongside all of your sales messages. So then we move on to paid advertising. So this is for people who obviously want to be pushing budget behind their campaigns. So get creative using free tools like Canva. So rather than just pushing out a stock image that might not necessarily grab people's attentions within their feed, actually look at creating kind of bespoke graphics. Look at historic data to see what's worked and what hasn't, and provide entertainment and positivity. People don't want to be seeing bland sales messages constantly throughout their feed. And some interesting stats around COVID-19 is that images and videos of people washing their hands have actually increased by 600%. The use of the face mask emoji has tripled, but interestingly, images and videos of people interacting with others has actually dropped by 30%. So it's not necessarily applicable to use the same photography and video that you have already created, especially if that means that there's a lot of interaction with people. Maybe it's them touching or shaking hands. It's not getting the right engagement at the moment. So you've got boosted posts versus ads manager. So boosted posts is what a lot of people do when they're first kind of dipping their toe in the water on social media. Boosted posts are not as specific. So you can't choose your specific objectives, but they are really good for page likes, comments, shares, and just increasing your overall brand awareness. If you're wanting to kind of tailor more towards website conversions, shop orders, video views, or app installs, we'd be definitely saying to go through the Facebook ads platform. Facebook ads allows you to choose a load of different advert formats and placements, so you have a lot more control over the look and feel and the creative. But you also have way more targeting capabilities. So whether that's remarketing people who have actually already been on your website and creating lookalike audiences, that is what your Google Ads will allow with your Facebook pixel. And have a look at what your competitors are doing. So on every company's Facebook page, there's the page transparency, and you can see where it says see more. You can then look and see whether that company actually does have ads running. So this is an example for Peaky Digital at the moment. So you can see that it's saying that we have ads running. If you click onto the go to ad library, then it will actually show you the ad that we are running live at the moment. So at the moment, we're just running a remarketing campaign. For any brands that have multiple ads running, you can see all their creative and all their ad copy, along with when they actually launched the campaign. So it's really useful to see what competitors are doing at this time. You can also do the same on LinkedIn. So if you go onto any LinkedIn business profile, you can just go onto ads at the left-hand side, click on that, and then it will bring up this list of all the ads that a certain brand is actually running at the moment. So do your research on what your competitors are doing before you launch any campaigns. And just to finish with, we've got some cool social media examples. So everyone's probably heard of Joe Wicks at the moment. He's releasing some really cool content, which is completely free. He's doing his PE, he's doing all sorts, and he's actually really done well for kind of leveraging his brand, and all of that has been done through social media. So social media can be a really powerful tool if it's done right. Another example is In the Style. So this is a clothing brand. They have been doing, they've been creating t-shirts around raising money for NHS charities, where 100% of all the profits are donated. So again, some really good PR. They've also then been looking at the actual products they're selling. So normally they are very much around pushing dresses, tops, cardigans, whereas now they're very much going towards loungewear and pajamas as everyone is staying at home. And they are seeing that all their ranges are completely selling out. So they've been really, really good with trying to be really adaptive to the climate. And then you've got NutriBullet. So NutriBullet as well, you can see some of their ads on the left, but also some of their organic posts on the right, which have again been super tailored to the climate. So self-care tips, and also then trying to show people how you can be using your NutriBullet at home as well. So that's the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for everyone who has attended. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us at Peaky Digital. And if you want to pop any questions now into the chat box that you have, I will then get back to all of you individually. If you want to follow our blog and our newsletter to find out any industry news and trends, then feel free to sign up on our website. Naomi will be emailing all of the slides over to everyone, so feel free to not need to make any more notes. And we're also offering a free social media audit to everyone who's attended. So if you are interested in that, then do feel free to just email the address on this slide. And I think some of you on this call have already taken advantage of this, but we are also doing our 30-minute free clinic for any clients that need any help with social media, or whether it's even SEO, PPC, or just overall digital marketing strategy at this time. So yeah, thank you very much for joining.